Now, I want you to imagine this. You're walking down the street, it's a beautiful day out, you're feeling yourself, and then almost to match the day, you see a beautiful girl. You want to say hi to her. Well, you'd like to talk to her, wouldn't you? But really quickly, your brain starts coming up with excuses to not say hi, such as, maybe she's busy. You're busy. She's probably not even 18. What do I even say? No, that sounds stupid. Why would I say that? This is a weird angle, and that'll be kind of awkward. She probably has a boyfriend. And then she walks by. And you beat yourself up a little bit, but not too much, because you know at least one of your excuses would have been right. But the only thing is, you don't really have any evidence at all that any of this was correct. You made an assumption. Then just imagine if you're like a scientist and you have this, hey, here's the result I want to get. I want to go say hi to this person. But then you come up with all these hypotheticals and you never test any of them. Where do you think we'd be? We'd still be in Stone Ages. In cognitive behavioral therapy, they have a tool called cognitive restructuring, which is essentially that you have this idea in your head about the way something is. But in reality, you don't have any evidence for that belief. So what we need to do is restructure that belief or that assumption that we are making. We always have this assumption that reality is as it is. So whatever it is that we see, well, that must be true. Makes sense, doesn't it? But that could not be further from the truth. There is no objective reality. Now we can go into what makes this happen. Is it the reticular activation system, or is it the law of attraction? What is it that makes it so there's no reality? But just trust me on this one. There is no actual objective reality. Reality is what you believe. Reality isn't what it is, it's what you believe. And in terms of this cognitive restructuring method that's going to help with kind of reframing reality to be closer to reality and then actually helpful to you, we need to do 4 things. So here's the 4 steps for this cognitive restructuring. 1, identification of problematic cognitions known as automatic thoughts. So pretty much just realizing, hey, when this girl walks by, what is it that I initially think? What are my initial thoughts, my automatic thoughts that come up in every single situation in my life? Identifications of the cognitive distortions in those automatic thoughts. Essentially being like, oh, this is actually wrong, this is an assumption, this is something that's not true at all. Realizing that, hey, here's where this could be wrong. Rational disputation of automatic thoughts with the Socratic method. This is essentially just going down the rabbit hole of like, hey, what is true, what's not true, why is this not true, kind of things like that. And then the 4th step is a development of a rational rebuttal to those automatic thoughts. So once those thoughts come into your head, you're going to question them, you're going to kind of see where they're right and wrong, and then you're actually going to come up with a solution, be like, okay, this is actually how things are. Here's the way we're going to live our life from now on. Because remember, reality is not what it is. Reality is what you believe. We all make assumptions, and this is just going to be human nature, that we're going to assume things about people, we're going to assume things about ourselves, we're going to assume things about situations, completely human nature. But what we want to do is use this as little as possible. We want to actually find out and not make any assumptions about life, because a lot of our assumptions come from shit that we learned when we were kids and shit that doesn't help us anymore. And again, if we can change reality, then we may as well change it to be something that is helpful for us, right? The day you stop making assumptions is the day you're going to be communicating cleanly and clearly without any emotional poison towards your fellow people. And the only way to do this is by speculating less and finding out more. So I used to have this friend who went to medical school. We used to live together, and the one time we went out to the club together and went to go party a little bit. And what happened was, towards the end of the night, he came up to me, he's like, man, all these girls, they're hoes. They all are not people that you want to bring home to mom, And that's what he said to me, and that was legitimately his reason for not talking to anyone. And I want you to think, do you think this is an assumption, or do you think this is something that he went and talked to every girl and found out they are in fact all hoes, only looking for dick? What is it that you think is more accurate, in this situation? Obviously, he was making assumptions to protect his own ego. He was making assumptions so that he didn't have to find out, he didn't have to go through this pain of rejection. And he didn't have the courage to go, hey, let me find out about this. It was easier for him to make an assumption, and then at that point, his reality can stay consistent as it is. And this is something with every situation that we have in life. If you feel someone thinks something about you, find out. You don't know anything. I've made this mistake countless times, and I continue making this mistake. What even is the truth, you know? What even is accurate? What's this person thinking when they ignore my text? What's this person thinking when they sort of don't answer me the way I want to, you know, or like they send out like these kind of shitty text messages? What's this person thinking when they behave this certain way about me? We don't really know. We just kind of make assumptions of it. So if this person is kind of important to you, it makes sense instead to just be like, hey, like I just wanted to know, like, what do you think here? Da, da, da. You know, it makes sense to actually like say something like that instead of just sort of letting that person fall by the wayside and then you just don't know them anymore. You know, like a lot of our relationships literally fall apart because we're unable to have the courage to ask, and we just make these assumptions and they destroy our relationships with our family, with our friends. We hear someone text us something and we like interpret it the wrong way. What we need to do is just be like, hey, look, I need to ask you, what did you mean by this? I don't think I understood this. Could you clarify this, you know? And we get all up in our feelings about all this stuff and we don't know what people are saying. Like, I thought I knew, but I was making so many assumptions about people, and I'm still making assumptions about things. But like the more that we can remove these assumptions in our lives, and I'm kind of hypocritical on this because I still do make a ton of assumptions, but the more that we can remove this and the more that we're actually able to understand that, like, hey, the way we may be thinking about this is not correct and there may be something more at play here, you know? Maybe this person didn't answer you because they picked up the phone, looked at it, and then like someone else was like, hey, like Janessa, and then they like forgot about it, you know? It's not that they hate you, it's not that they disrespect you, it's not that they don't want to talk to you, it's just something else caught their attention. It has nothing to do with you. But we get caught up, we think everything has to do with us pretty much, you know? And that's just not accurate, and we need to find out. If you see someone in the street and you want to say hi, well, say hi. If you want a raise at work, ask for a raise at work. You know, it's really that simple. Don't make any assumptions about, oh, like they won't give me a raise, this person will reject me. Don't make these assumptions. Actually find out. It takes courage. It takes balls. And you got to do it. Because if you don't, life's going to kind of pass you by. Life's going to pass us by. Like, this is something that I have to deal with as well. You have to find the voice to ask for what you want. And everyone has the right to tell you yes or no. Just like everyone has the right to ask you for what they want. And then you have the right to tell them yes or no. But the important thing is that we aren't making assumptions about what someone wants. And when you ask, you at least get to know the truth. And then if something doesn't work out, you at least have proper information to actually build a new solution to approach it again with someone else. Say like, this relationship fails because of some situation. You at least get the accurate picture of, hey, here's exactly what I need to work on, right? So that's why making assumptions is so deadly, because we're living in this world that doesn't exist in reality, and we're building solutions problems that don't actually exist in reality. If someone does something that inconveniences you, or they ignore you or something like that, don't assume it was done out of malice. Find out what's going on. Why did they inconvenience you? You know, a lot of the times it's something came up that had nothing to do with you. If you see someone in the street and they're driving their Lamborghini around and you start thinking like, oh, daddy got them a trust fund, you know, they didn't earn any more of that money, you know, like whatever sort of negative judgments that we have about people, like even obese people, like, hey, this person's lazy, this person's this person's that, you know, I'm guilty of that. If we're thinking that about people that we just see in the street, just keep in mind this one thought.
I don't know this nigga at all.
This all sounds super simple, super easy, and it is super simple and super easy, but in reality we forget this a lot, and we do continuously make these assumptions about the world, about people's interactions with us, and all that we need to do is find the courage to ask for what it is that we want. Have the courage to stop making assumptions. If there's something that you don't understand, you got to be able to ask. You got to be able to get to the bottom of it, and if someone explains something to you and you don't understand, you need to be able to say, hey, I don't even get that. So like, can we dig deeper? Can we dig deeper until you do understand, until there are no more assumptions to be made? And if you do this, if you don't make any assumptions, your life is just going to flow smoothly. You know, we're just going to know exactly how the world is. Don't assume malice whenever someone ignores you, whenever someone does something that inconveniences you. Don't assume malice. Don't judge people in the street because you don't know them. Don't make any assumptions. Most importantly, about ourselves. If you say that you can't do something, if you say that something's stupid, if say like you don't like something about yourself, that is an assumption. And that is going to destroy our self-esteem when we make assumptions about ourselves, that you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not this. Find out. Don't speculate, find out. Don't make assumptions.